Okay, Grand Rising family. It's actually in the, well, it is still the morning time, yes, so Grand Rising. So I'm coming to make this quick video, a word that the Lord gave me. Now, I wasn't going to make it to Monday, but the Lord got on my line, so I'm making it now. But as you can tell from the title, our children is the next generation. Our babies, your kids, my kids, our children is the next generation. So we have to set examples. We need to prepare our children for the next generation. And as I was reading in First Samuel in the Bible today, the Lord basically spoke to me and basically telling us about raising our kids up the right way. Discipline when they're needed to be disciplined. I'm not talking about beat your kids like crazy and all other stuff. I'm talking about discipline, period. Not letting your kids run all over you and stuff like that. I have scriptures where it says, he say Proverbs 29:17 says, discipline your child, and he or she will give you rest. She will give you delight to your heart. If you discipline your child, it say, he who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is careful to discipline him. So if he say if you spare the rod, you hate your child. Like, that's crazy. Like, but because we know that undisciplined children, you can tell when a child is undisciplined. You go in the public and you see somebody's child, you can tell when their child is undisciplined. So, like they say with Proverbs 29:17, it says, she will give you rest and he will give you delight to your heart. You want to be around here feeling how they feeling, probably embarrassed and mad at their children out here doing all the stuff that they doing because they're not disciplining them. But in Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. So that's why you start now. We are our kids is the future. Our kids is the next generation. Our kids is the ones that's going to become the next politics, the next presidents, the next ones that's the next influencers, the next ones that's speaking for the next generation. So it's like we have to make sure that we put into them the good so they can pass down the good. And especially with God, it say folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline is far from it. Now, folly means foolishness, lack of good sense. Is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline is far from it. I think I wrote that down wrong, but it's basically saying like the rod. What was this one? Proverbs 22:15. Please don't mind my kids in the back because I have my children. They are woke. I have kids and they are woke. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction shall drive it far from him. The verse emphasizes the importance of discipline in guiding young people away from foolish behavior. That's what it is. This is Proverbs 22:15. And it's good to discipline our child because as I was reading this Saul, I was reading about, I was where it was where Eli, the priest, because of the priest had kids, and Eli then was, him and his bloodline, the Levites, I think. I don't want to say that, don't quote me on that, but I think it was Levites. But they was the ones that was granted head over priestship. So they was the ones that was supposed to carry out the priest missions. And his children was disobeying. They was, where was the word exact? They were disobedient to the Lord's rules. As the priest's children, they had no respect for the Lord or for their duties as priests. And that's in 1 Samuel 2:12 and 13. So they had no respect for their duties as priests. As priests, they had a specific duty that they supposed to carry out, and they had no respect for it. They was actually disrespecting God. It was blasphemy in him. And I'm gonna look up that word because I will be able to explain it. To act of insulting or showing contempt or a lack of reverence for God. Yeah, to act of insulting or showing contempt or lack of reverence for God. So that's what they was doing. And because they did that, the whole family, he stopped their whole family from living long. Like everybody was dying early. Their whole family was dying early because of what his children had did. And it's actually in the Bible where he said that, okay, first I'm saying the family will not live long. And only the ones that was living long, the ones that was living, still living after he had destroyed his two sons, the priests and all that, they ended up being blind. The ones that was still alive was to be blind, and they was seeing their children die violent deaths. Like that's in the word. That's what the Lord had told him. And he said what he said. Simple as that, because his children was very disobedient, not doing what the Lord had told them to do. And the father, the priest, wasn't he didn't tell his children what to do. It's like he said, this is what he says. This is God talking to Eli, and Eli is the priest, and his children is the one that he's talking about. He said, one day a man of God came to Eli and gave him this message from the Lord. I revealed myself to your ancestors when they were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt. I chose your ancestors, Aaron, from among all the tribe of Israel to be my priest. Okay, so it was the ancestors, the ones, Aaron, to be my priest, to offer sacrifices on my altar, to burn incense, and to wear the priest's vest, as he served me, and I assigned the sacrificial offerings to your priests. So why do you scorn my sacrifices and offerings? And what he said, why do you scorn my sacrifices and offerings? Because his kids was the one that was digging into the sacrifices and eating them. And you didn't supposed to do that. You supposed to sacrifice people offerings. You supposed to let them all burn on the fire, the fat and all the other stuff. That's how it used to be in the Old Testament. And they wasn't, his children wasn't doing it. They was going and digging at it and trying to eat it and stuff. But he said, why do you scorn my sacrifices and offerings? Why do you give your sons more honor than you give me? For you and they have become fat from the best offerings of my people, Israel. And he said, why? He said, why do you give your sons more honor than you give me? And what he means by that is like you're allowing them to do what they do, and you're not saying anything to them. He's saying you're giving them more honor. It's just like, oh, you don't want to. You're sparing them basically. And you see the verse. He said, don't spare the rod of the children. So you don't supposed to spare your kids' discipline. You supposed to, you supposed to, discipline your child. But he said, therefore the Lord God of Israel says, I promise that your branch of the tribe of Levi. Okay, so it was Levi. I was right. Then Levi, it was a Levi tribe that he granted priesthood to. He said, I promise that your branch of the tribe of Levi would always be my priest. But I will honor those who honor me, and I will despise those who think lightly of me. The time is coming when I will put an end to your family, so it will no longer serve as my priest. All the members of your family will die before their time. None will reach old age. You will watch with envy as I pour out prosperity on the people of Israel, but no members of your family will ever live out their days. The few not cut off from serving at my altar will survive, but only so their eyes can go blind and their hearts break, and their children will die a violent death. And that's the one that I was telling y'all that he said that he would keep a couple of them, but they'll be blind. Their kids going to be dying a violent death. And he said, and prove that what I said will come true. I will cause your two sons, I ain't finna say their names, but because it's hard and I don't know how I'm saying it, to die on the same day. And I will raise up a faithful priest who will serve me and do what I deserve. I will establish. See, that's the thing. because he said his 2 children would die on the same day to prove what he said was real, and but that's what did happen later on. His children both died. Both his sons died at war together with each other, and the man died too. He died at the same time. The daddy died, fell over in a chair and broke his neck. He was big, so yeah, that was crazy. But my baby's up there screaming. That's my sire. He's only 6 months, so yeah. And he had said this to him. He warned him. And he told him, like, because that's why we have to discipline our children. We can't just let our children do whatever they want. Because if we don't discipline, God gonna discipline. And wouldn't you rather just discipline your child so the Lord won't discipline? Because the Lord discipline gonna be something serious. It's gonna be something different. So that's how he tells us to raise up our children in a way to go, especially in a biblical instructions. How did it say? It say fathers and okay, this the one. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up the discipline and instructions of the Lord. In the discipline and instructions of the Lord. It's best to bring our children up in like, that's why I say following the Lord. It's best to follow the Lord, especially you. You are an example to your children. What you are doing is what your children will do. What you allow happen in your life is what your children allow to happen in their life. That's why it's a lot that we have to watch when it comes to our kids. That's why it's a lot of things that I don't do around my kids. A lot of things that I don't allow my kids to see, or just to see me do. Like point at a time when I used to smoke, and before the Lord delivered me from that. But when I used to smoke, I didn't like to smoke in front of my kids. I used to try to hide the point that I was smoking, because I'm like, I don't want my kids to smoke. I don't want to be doing it. And it's just like, you got to think, if you don't want to be doing it, if you don't want your kids to do it, why should you be doing it? You got to set an example. And that's basically what it is with the Lord. Like, we got to discipline our children. Our children is the next generation. We have to prepare our children for the next generation so they can take over nations, so they can be kings and queens out here, like, so they can be smart and not listen to what other people think, so they can be leaders and not followers. That's what we're here to do. We are here to raise up. But God didn't give us these children just to play around with them. He gave us these children to set them up for God. Just like in the beginning of Samuel, it was the girl Hannah who couldn't have children, and everybody was laughing at her because she couldn't have children and stuff. Well, the other wife was talking about her because she couldn't have children, teasing her about it, and she prayed to God about it, and she told God if he bless her with a child, she'll give the child to him. And she did that. She physically gave her child to God, and spiritually, because she was the one that she sent her child to Eli, the priest, and kept him at the church. Oh, sorry for all the stuttering, but so we must also give our children to God, not just, we don't got to give them to a physical, go take them to the church and sit them down like she did, but spiritually we give them to God. We set them up spiritually for the Lord. Like, we don't just pray for ourselves, but we sure to pray for our kids more than often. They are our next generation. Like, we have to pray for them, pray that they're doing good. We ask God for guidance on how to discipline. If you don't know how to discipline your children in the right way, or you too scared, you shouldn't be scared, because they say if you don't discipline your child gonna run over you. And my child ain't running over me, because I'm the mother. I birthed them, so I'm running the show. But I'm going to discipline lightly. I'm going to discipline with love. I'm not going to discipline with anger and just be doing crazy stuff to my children. That's what I'm not going to do. But we're going to discipline them so they can know in the way that they should go. But because we all want the best for our kids, right? So it's like, why would you want your kids to be just, out here just doing anything, going to jail, leaving your kids in jail. Who want their child to be in jail? Who want their child to be dead? Anything. So it's best to just discipline that child. Who want their child to be named, be ringing out here because some stuff that they done done? Like, you just got to think about it. You got to think about the generation right now, all the stuff that goes on right now, the people that are dying, how people are going to jail. But you will see that it's people that's raised right, and they're not condoning none of that stuff. They're not entering themselves into none of them things that these other people are doing because they were disciplined and they was raised right. So we have to do the same thing. Saya is in there screaming like a crazy person. He's having a ball. Okay. But yes, so that's all that I have to say. We just have to start praying for our kids more. We have to put our time into our kids, listen to our kids, and help our kids grow to be better children, better than us. And with that, we need God. So y'all seek the Lord about that. Pray about it. Ask God how he wants you to discipline his child, how he wants you to raise your child up, if you were lost on how to raise your child up. But yeah, make sure you pray for your kids, most definitely. Always pray that they stay good children. Pray that God leads them, that they are led by God, that God is in the midst of all their decisions. And the same for you as you praying that you are a better mother for your children, that you're mothering your child the way that God would want you to, the appropriate way that God wants you to mother your child. It's best to pray about all of it and stay in his word, and his word will lead you on all of it. But yes, y'all, that's all I had to release this word real fast on this Christmas day that y'all celebrating. But because I ain't celebrating it, but yes, I released it because the Lord was not playing with me. I was about to not release it, but he was like, you better go release that video. And I was like, Lord, well, he didn't really say that, but he snapped on me, and I ain't even finna explain that. But yes, y'all, discipline your children. Discipline your children. They are the new generation. Our kids are the next generation. They are the ones that's going to show how we was. How they is going to show how we was. Just like we doing what our mothers was doing, to be honest. Unless you broke them curses, them generational curses. Now, that's what we trying to do. We trying to break generational curses. We're not trying to have the same thing go on with us or go through the same. We're not trying to have our children go through the same thing that we went through. So let's break these generational curses, y'all. Let's pray for our kids. Let's build up our kids. Let's discipline our kids. And let's get it done, y'all. But y'all have a good day.